been 9 months, and you haven't got the divorce yet. He cheats with his secretary every time he goes to the office.
Have you ever made a mistake?
You ready, Mom?
Pull it out, baby.
I got it.
And you are?
Noah. I'm staying next door with my uncle.
Hello, welcome to What the Flick. Christy, Matt, and Ben. Ben is back just in time to talk about the boy next door with us. Sexy boy next door. Please describe it.
Yeah, so if you've seen the trailer, you know what this movie is. Jennifer Lopez is separated from her husband with a young son, but there's a Ryan Guzman, a handsome, hunky 19-year-old, lives next door, moves in next door, and it is it's her decision, but his mistake, or her affair, but his, I don't know what it is. But all you need to know about this movie is that they cast J-Lo, and the character's name is Claire. There is not a less likely name for a character played by Jennifer Lopez than Claire. They found the whitest name in America and gave it to Jennifer Lopez. It is just the first part of what's wrong with this movie. That said, a little bit fun.
You're not from around here.
No. There was this accident with my folks. I'm gonna finish up in Monroe High.
My mom teaches there, actually.
Seems too cool to be a teacher.
Dad, you're beautiful.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have.
It's okay. It's the nicest thing anybody said to me in a long time.
Well, then I'm glad I said it. When you lose someone you love, you start to feel like you don't belong anywhere.
I have to go.
Please don't go. No judgments. No rules. Just us.
Look, Noah, I was feeling vulnerable. I'm the adult. I wasn't thinking clearly. I can't do this. Kevin, did you send an email from my account?
Sounds like you've been hacked. You should really change your password. Your father seems to be around a lot now, huh? Yeah, I guess. Don't forget that he walked out on you.
Honey, I need you to stay away from Noah, okay?
See you at school.
Sorry, guys. Oh, my God.
What's wrong?
I'm gonna lose my job, my son, my life. What do you think is gonna happen here?
I'm never letting you go.
Stay away from me! And stay away from my son!
I can't do that, Claire. I live next door.
So
All
this
right.
movie is terrible really fast. It's terrible, but it's not like delightfully terrible enough.
Listen,
Go
this
ahead.
movie would have been a lot better with Luis Guzman instead of Ryan Guzman.
would've made
I'm
a
just
lot more
saying
sense.
that would have made this movie
And then
amazing.
a heavy-set Latino man
Right?
moved
Right.
next door, and she
Right.
couldn't resist.
But he
Right,
can
the
fix
Puerto Rican
cars.
version of
Right,
me.
right.
He fixes
exactly.
cars and he cleans
But
out
he's,
storm drains.
and he's
and
super
sexy.
talented. He can play anything. Yeah.
Exactly.
So yeah, this was fun. We had some laugh out loud moments, but I would say not enough.
One more quick question on
Yes.
the casting.
Yes.
Who is more unbelievable as a literature teacher?
I thought of that,
J-Lo or Mark Wahlberg?
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a
that's good, too.
There's a conversation between Ryan Guzman, who apparently has she's a teacher, and
A high
he-
school English teacher.
and he comes and eventually moves into the school. Although it's worth pointing out that at the time of the affair, he's not yet in school, and he is 19. So I don't even think it's that big a deal. Like, it might cost her job. I just mean, but the stakes matter.
Right.
Like there wasn't. This is not the kind of thing that ruins anybody's life.
Like legally versus ethically, you're saying the difference here is.
Yeah,
that
and I
it's
mean,
not
even
illegal.
ethically, once you get to 19, and he's not in school yet, it's bad.
Right.
But
It's not necessarily illegal, or even it's dodgy about the ethics of it. It's just skeevy.
Right, it's a skeevy, but I mean, so she's the 8 billionth person to have a skeevy affair. It
Right.
doesn't have to wreck your
Right.
life.
With her son's new friend.
Right, with her son's new friend. Like the damage control she'd have to do is with her son. And she might lose her job. So that mattered like the whole time, as we're supposed to believe everything that's at risk for her as to why, because she could solve many of these problems early if she's simply willing to tell the police.
Right.
But she never does.
Because she's afraid of losing her job.
She's afraid of losing her job. And then, as she says, and her son, to John Corbett, plays her ex-husband, and we know it's John Corbett, so he can't be that bad a guy. It's John Corbett.
He didn't break up with her by Post-it note.
Right.
Ha ha. Do you get that reference? Sex and the City reference. You didn't get that.
he didn't-
The girls out there will get that.
Right. Oh, but he didn't. That's not how he broke up with her. Right. That was what's his name? Our friend. Who's the guy who?
Ron Livingston.
Ron Livingston. Thank you. Whew, Jesus. Love Ron Livingston. Okay.
Is this movie good in a bad way? Is it fun?
Sometimes.
Not enough.
Sometimes.
It's not over the top enough for me. I don't think so.
It could be more over the top, but I can't say I had a bad time at the movie.
That's right. That's
We
right.
had
Now,
fun together, didn't we?
We did have fun. This is a movie we're laughing at and not necessarily with.
I think
right?
they're in on the joke.
I can't tell. I don't.
J-Lo in a series of like see-through, clingy, ass-hugging negligees.
I didn't find that to be a joke.
No, but they're
Right.
in on the fact
First
that
half of the
that's
movie, like
ridiculously
they
fun.
forgot to give her bras, and I'm okay with that.
She
She does go jogging.
You know,
the first thing we see
as
her.
you know, Christy, I don't know whether you know. Out of Sight, one of my 10 favorite
I know you
movies of
love
all
it.
time. I mean, I can't.
Great movie.
It's not that I think it's one of the 10 best movies, but you're
It's a perfect
invigorated.
film.
It's a perfect film. It's a perfect movie. And she looks 5 months older.
Right.
Like, I mean, she looks like Karen Sisco. I mean, and that was 1998. That is 17 years.
Right, she's 45.
17 years. And
J-Lo's
she
45
looks
years old.
fantastic.
She looks
Jesus.
better than she ever has, right?
Yeah, she
so
looks
okay, so
fantastic.
she's supposed to be what, like 38, and he's supposed to be
That's right.
19. In reality, they are 45 and 27,
Right.
right? So
Well, I mean,
and
she can
both look
can certainly
younger.
pull off 38. I don't have any problem. I don't have a problem with that.
She can pull off 30. I mean,
yeah, totally.
she does look very. They really a lot of soft focus of her. I mean, they've really done her up.
They've
She
touched
looks
her up.
amazing.
She
in this.
does, and she also finds time every morning to do full makeup to go teach Homer, right? Like she's got the smoky eye
Right.
and the glossy lip. She looks like a Fox News cut-in anchor a
Man,
lot of the time.
I
students
will
would-
say there's a
The
students would-
blowout. There's no time for the blowout
Julie
every
Banderas?
goddamn day.
She looks like
She
Julie
looks like
Banderas?
Julie Banderas. Julie Bidwell. Her real last name
That's
is
right.
Bidwell.
There is an awful lot of cleavage for a high school teacher.
She's hot for teacher. She is like the hot for teacher.
But
hot
there's
for
like
teacher.
so seriously, so it's like it is fun. There's times that it's fun. It's
not.
And they definitely I think you're right because there are times when they definitely seem like they're in on a joke, but they didn't go for it quite enough.
Nope.
And that made a big difference.
Until the end.
But then there are like there's so many super painful moments that to me don't make any sense. At one point, John Corbett and the son, whose name is Kevin. Everybody's got a dumb name for this. And
We apologize to all the Kevins
Sorry,
out there.
Kevins.
Sorry, Kevin.
yeah,
Let's
I
look up the
take it-
actor's
I immediately take that back. The so John Corbett and Kevin are in the.
look it up.
She goes into the kitchen, and it turns out that the whatever his name is, not Luis Guzman.
character's name is Noah.
Ryan Guzman is
Noah.
there, right? And that's our big reveal: is that oh my God, she comes back home, and he's on the couch. He won't leave her alone. He's stalking her, and then he comes into the kitchen, and she's all flustered, and he comes up behind her. And he says, he's got a video of their sex scene. He's blackmailing her. And he's like, who am I going to show it to next? Am I going to show it to your boss? Or am I going to show it to Kevin? He says it out loud. And Kevin goes, yeah. And he goes, you want a soda? And Kevin goes, yeah, that sounds great. And it's just like nobody offers nobody in the history of the world has anyone said, you want a soda, and the other person said, that sounds great. There's no specificity. You can say,
Right.
sure,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yes, please, thank you.
Yes, please, thank you.
If it's a
Nobody
diet
says
ginger
what
ale,
kind,
that's it.
anything. It's just like there was there's a generic, I'm using that as an example of a genericness of this movie that I think that makes it less fun.
Yes, I think there are moments in this movie where it is a little self-aware, and it does tilt towards being so bad it's good.
Yes.
You know, the better version of something like this was the movie with Halle Berry from a couple years ago. Was it The Call, where she's the 911 operator?
Yes, that was fun.
That's a fun movie,
That was a
right?
really
Like that's a
good
fun movie that is over the top and dopey
That's
and
right.
a good
right.
time.
But still
This
kinda
one,
thrilling.
This one could have been that, and it would have been amazing. But I think the script, among other problems, like the script really dials it back, and the script is so generic and so stupid. You know, the scene where he gives her the book that we laughed about endlessly that I think is so amazing. I don't even want to give it away. It's just amazing. It's
a
almost
gift.
worth the price of admission just to see something this stupid.
I felt like no scene acknowledged that a prior scene had taken place. At one point, he comes and he asks her, you know, he won't leave her alone. That's the whole premise. And so he says, well, after your family's gone to sleep, come to my house at 2 a.m. And she goes. The night before, he tried to rape her in the bathroom, right? Like, first of all, that's enough. That scene enough would be enough to be like, this is over, right?
Right.
But she doesn't. She goes like, hey, remember the rape from the night before? Like, don't go to his house at 2 a.m. You wouldn't. She wouldn't do that. No, and that's just one of a series of moments where, and then when she discovers the terrible thing he might be doing, she takes it upon herself to investigate it, doesn't call anybody. It never at any point does she acknowledge what they've established is a clearly real danger from a genuine psychopath. So, like, there again, and like in the call, they got around that. Her phone didn't work.
Right. No, there's an inconsistency, especially to Claire in this movie, in that she is the damsel in distress when the script needs her to be, and then she has agency and she can take care of herself when it's convenient for the script, but none of that is consistent in her character. And I think that really takes away from this. And I think that's part of why it makes it harder to really kind of embrace the so bad it's good here.
Well, what's funny is I came home from this movie last night and the babysitter was like, how was it? I said, it was terrible, but not terrible enough. And she goes, what'd you see again? I said, The Boy Next Door. She goes, oh, it was one with Jennifer Lopez. She's like, Jennifer Lopez is always the same person in every single movie. So even my 27-year-old babysitter knows this. Like, she's always like kind of soft and kind of sexy, but she has this hidden power that comes out when she needs it, like in Enough, for example, right? This is a typical J-Lo movie where she gets to show off her curviness and her sexiness, but then like she kicks ass all of a sudden when she's called upon to do so, and that's true here too. Like she has these powers that we'd never seen from her before all of a sudden.
There is a sex scene, obviously. I don't think that's giving anything away. We know there's going to be a sex scene between. By the way, this Ryan Guzman character, he can snarl his lip very effectively. There's a fair amount of Elvis in this guy.
Not no Billy Idol lip.
Yeah, Elvis Costello.
Right.
But it's more Billy Idol than Elvis. I shouldn't really call him Elvis. But so in the sex scene, and it's okay, it's a fine sex scene. It's weird when it returns again in memory that there's not different shots, like another opportunity to bring us more. They just recycle the 7 shots they had. So
that's the only 7 shots they could do without actually showing us anything.
Right.
Because of the no nudity
clause. Because J-Lo was a good girl.
That's it. I mean, it's ridiculous because there may be no nudity clause, but there's some very sexually aggressive things that happen that you don't normally see. So I would say nudity. I'd rather be nude than have that happen. The thing that happens to her. But that sex scene between this incredibly good-looking 27-year-old playing a 19-year-old, and then you think about her by far her best movie, Out of Sight, and that sex scene where literally nothing happened, and almost everybody on the planet will tell you one of the great sex scenes, one of the sexiest scenes in movies. Her dream sequence with Clooney. Like, it doesn't really matter. You can show whatever you want. That's not what makes it sexy.
I don't think he's up for any of the challenges of this film. I mean, yes, he's nice looking, and yes, he's been to the gym. Ryan Guzman's been in a couple of Step Up movies, a couple times, yeah. He's working with a trainer off and on. But he's been in a couple of Step Up movies, and that's a good fit for this guy, right? To just show up and be pretty and move and whatever. And not that you expect believability in a film like this, you don't, but I was never afraid of him.
That's right.
I never viewed him as a legitimate threat. He's a child. I mean, yes, he's 27 playing 19, but he looks about 12. I mean, there's a boyishness to him that makes him, that makes him, he's never menacing. And I think you need that. If you're going to have an erotic thriller like this, there should be a legitimate threat.
I agree.
He was whiny.
Right. We've seen, like, young Wahlberg was able to do that in, what was the movie?
Fear?
We were just talking about Fear yesterday.
That's a movie where I think that, for all of the flaws in that movie, he at least adds some menace to it. Like, there's a sense of, with Wahlberg, like, he could flip out at any moment, and you're
when he's at the door, he totally flips out.
Right. This one, Guzman in this movie is about as scary as the Hamburger. Like,
I would say this is all directing, though. I mean, I don't know. He's not great, but you don't know because when you remove credibility, when they have lines like the soda line, when she behaves inexplicably, when she investigates the case herself, and then says to a cop, "Wait a minute, is this a 2006 minivan?" like it's so dumb. And like you're looking at it, yes, it's a minivan. You would say the name of the car. Like it's just everything. Like it took away any possibility for him to be menacing. This is not a movie where anybody was going to be menacing.
And his inspiration, his motivation for why he does all the things he does is so ridiculous,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
it
I
comes
didn't
so
think
out of
about it.
nowhere. We should mention that Rob Cohen directed this movie. He did the first Fast and Furious movie.
That movie
he did
is
Triple
amazing.
X. And there was one little car chase in this, which has some brief little snippets of what this person can do well, right? And it's actually even edited like a Fast and Furious movie
Right.
really quickly during the car chase.
Right, but then there's a car accident in it, which I thought was looked like a after-school special.
Right, that looked like crap, right?
Yeah, that looked
the
bad.
overhead
That looked
shots
like somebody
looked
else
crap.
did that.
Right.
Well, right,
It's kind
there's-
of funny, and
right.
no one's actually hurt.
We get a
Yes, yeah, yeah.
flashback, and this is not a huge spoiler because we find out that the parents are dead, and we get a flashback to the accident. And I love any movie that there's some accident and the car just immediately.
Right, right.
Like apparently that minivan was made of dynamite.
At the same time, there's a giant barn.
Finished with dynamite,
Right.
yeah.
There's a giant barn on fire at one point that never ever collapses.
Right.
It's on fire forever. So.
Boy, and I had the beginning of that barn pegged, didn't I?
You totally called it. You
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, totally. All right,
And the ending is kind of batshit crazy. I had fun, and I was squealing and screaming and squirming and clapping at the end. Like the last 5 minutes or so is as fun as the
Finally.
whole rest of it
Right.
should have been previously.
That said, I couldn't tell anybody not to see it. I wouldn't say don't necessarily. Like it depends on. Don't go see it alone. Not because it'll scare you, just because you need.
You want
Right.
somebody
You
with
want
This is-
camaraderie in this. Yeah.
The best way to approach this movie: get a few friends together, go get shit faced, and go see this, and you will have the time of your
Yeah,
life.
that's right.
Yeah,
Best
alright.
thing you could do this January.
So with
All right.
that in
What's
mind,
your number?
I'm giving it two numbers. So
Okay.
like if you're doing that, like it's a 7.1. It's a terrible movie that you can have fun at.
but Stone Cold Sober.
But Stone Cold Sober
As we
and
were.
only one friend, don't go see it. It's terrible, and it achieves nothing. It holds nothing. It accomplishes nothing. So it's like a 0.5.
Okay.
That's a 7.6 total.
So the moral of
divided
the story is make some friends and get drunk.
by- Right, make some
All right.
friends and get drunk. So I come out at like a 3.8.
3.8. Okay, Matt.
4.5. I like a movie that I'll at least be thinking about for a while.
And talking about clearly for 1 point, if nothing else. I'm giving it a 3. Our average is 3.8. It's at 13% and dropping.
And dropping.
Is this number going to get higher?
I
No.
don't think so.
It's like a race to the bottom for all the bad movies coming out this week between
Yeah.
this and Mordecai and Strange Magic. So, Boy Next
Yeah,
Door.
ugly.
Not to be confused with The Girl Next Door, which was actually a pretty good movie. Bye.